Hello, it's James Johnson, aka Sulfurblade. Welcome back to my channel, welcome back to my content, and welcome back to Burden of Command. This is, I think, episode 3, and we're, I think, finally going to be let off the leash and actually be actually playing the real game, I think. So let's jump in and find out how it plays. Red Beach. 08 November 1942, Morocco.
Finally, on the 5th day, we got the news. I mean, what we'd been waiting to hear. They handed out little guidebooks. I remember the first line: "You are to do duty in North Africa as a soldier of the United States."
We were green as grass. Thought that just being on that shit was
I have to say that's annoying, the sound effects and stuff. 08 November 1942, off the coast of Morocco. It's been 4 hours since you loaded up. The men have long since given up being dry, let alone warm. Your platoon hunkers down in the grumbling belly of the landing boat, huddled together quietly in the moonless dark. Spray of the ocean waves surge over the bow. The rumble of the engine pitches upwards. The boat enters yet another slow turn, and the agony of that delay spreads across the tense faces of your green troops. Dim red light flickers. The coxswain, a young man in dark blue dungarees, leans forward at the control deck to inspect a fuel gauge with a filtered flashlight. He taps the glass cover with a worried look on his face, then returns his attention to the dark seas. With both hands, he shifts the control wheel to keep the boat steady amid a flotilla of landing craft whose engines are far quieter than your own. Stay focused on my men. Our turn will come. The coxswain stares over top of your men and across the bow, intent on the seas ahead. Behind him lie the silhouettes of the invasion fleet, black against the starlit sky. White waves surge as other landing boats make a radical turn. Engines deepen their growl in the distance. The coxswain throttles up. See if Private Roberts has held down his Navy chow. Roberts has puked in his helmet. Normally that'd be a difficult issue to resolve, but he readily slings the contents into the darkness and then washes things out with a bit of ocean spray. Just in time, too, because he proceeds to hurl yet more vomit over the side. Though there is nothing you can do for the man, your sympathy is noted by those soldiers who are holding their queasy stomachs. There is no shame in vomiting on this boat ride. A rumble, like a freight train, passes overhead. A fountain of water bursts into the night sky. White flashes shatter the darkness of the shore. Shells scream overhead towards the transports you left behind. Private Roberts hastily finishes puking over the side. He's now completely done with his breakfast. Sergeant Grant leans over to the private and asks loudly above the din, "You all right, Roberts?" "How could I not be?" Private Roberts replies. He tries out a weak smile, clearly more for Grant's benefit than his own. "I'm off that rusty bathtub of a ship, and no one's shot me yet. This is about as good as it gets, Sarge." The man is certainly less than enthusiastic. Private Hancock edges to Robert's side. "Come up front. The air is better there. Trust me." Hancock waits for your approval before he grasps Robert's shoulders and guides his friend towards a place on the bow. The engine sputters, dying down to a low rumble. You turn to see the coxswain heaving the wheel of the helm with all his might, eyes wide in terror. You lurch to the side as the boat goes into a hard turn away from the shore. Sergeant Grant helps you stand back up. "What the hell is that swabby doing?" Grant asks as the boat keeps turning. "If he's chickening, then battalion will throw the book at us." Really? Okay, taking command. You shove the Navy man aside and grab the wheel. The Higgins boat controls seem easy enough when the coxswain was handling them, but the moment you grab them, you feel plenty of resistance. The boat in front of you suddenly careens skyward, the black hull splitting its men before it slams back in the sea. Ever so briefly, you hear Captain Lamb shouting as your boat zips past. Shove the Navy man aside. The Higgins boat controls seem easy enough. The boat in front of you suddenly careens skyward, the black hull spilling its men before it slams back into the sea. Ever so briefly, you hear Captain Lamb shouting as your boat zips past. You are still headed towards the beach, but at an angle that will also put you in the path of the other boats. The last thing you need now is a collision. You are still headed towards the beach, but at an angle that will also put you in the path of other boats. So if I go straight towards that patch of beach, there's a good chance I'm going to collide with another ship. Execute a right turn towards the shore. Seems like the sensible thing to do. You sling your carbine and haul the wheel against the turn. It takes all your strength to get it going in the right direction, but at last it begins to yield. Soften the turn toward shore. The boat comes about laggardly towards its former course. Keep it to a slow speed. You leave the throttle alone. The timbers beneath you let out a soft shudder. A sudden jolt falls as the prow of the vessel smashes against a dark jut of a submerged coral reef. Thankfully, the constant slap of the waves slowly pushes the keel off the uncharted reef. Within minutes, you are free and clear. With disaster averted, you bring the boat toward shore. Seawater pours through the holes in the hull, but your men keep the flooding at bay by bailing furiously with their helmets as you make the final approach. Trust -5, loyalty -1. What once seemed like a pale line on the horizon is now a vast expanse of starlit sand. We must move fast, move inland. The hull shudders beneath wood splinters. The beach must be close. I see sand, Private Hancock yells from the bow, and then leaps over the side. Lead them over the side. You leap over the side into the frigid waste. Deep water, your men follow. The moment you drop into the surf, the chill of the ocean numbs your toes. The awful stink of the gasoline thickens the air as you struggle onto the sand. All around lies wrecked boats and sprawled men. This is one big snafu, Patterson grouses as he crawls forward, belly against the sand. Half the French army's shooting at me. Gee, Morris replies as he hugs the beach just a few feet away. Maybe they're tired of your flapping gums already. You blink aside, the sting of salt spray, and spy a huddle of men just a few yards off. Sergeant Grant is amongst them, his features etched with flashes of distant gunfire. Lieutenant, Sergeant Grant calls to you. First and second squad are here. The third squad scattered itself good. Can't even find Roberts. 20 odd men from your platoon. A bear. 2 soldiers of shivering and drenched soldiers. Where's the rest of the company? Wherever the rest of Nickel Company is, that isn't here. Corporal Crossley passes his bar to his assistant, then recovers a 30 cal that dangles over the side of the wrecked boat, adopting it into his own personal arsenal of democracy. Just like that, you've got machine gun support. Ocean waves crash in, drenching your men afresh. You have to get them moving. Third squad, first platoon, rally on me. You give a shout and flash hand signals. The men trickle in. A distant machine gun cracks out rounds all the while. Hot lead splinter the wooden hull of the nearby boats. In the flare of the distant guns, you catch sight of a figure with an American helmet. A glint of return fire reveals the silver oak leaves of a lieutenant colonel. Lieutenant? The lieutenant colonel calls as he forges his way towards you, brushing aside the chaos around him. Colonel, sir. That I am, Lieutenant. Colonel Moore replies evenly as a salvo of shells screams overhead. I don't recognize you, son. Who are you with? The metallic rattle of the machine gun fills the air once more. A panic scream rises high and raw before being cut short. First Platoon, Nickel Company, 3rd Battalion. I know the rundown, Lieutenant Colonel, Moore replies sharply. You may be with the 3rd, but right now you're working for me. Understood? Yes, sir. Excellent. Lieutenant Colonel Moore replies, right now I need you to lead these men like back in OCS. Afterwards, if you The crack crack of a machine gun fire drowns out whatever the lieutenant colonel was going to say next. He stabs a finger towards the flashes on a rise that overlook the beach. Go get that son of a bitch before he stitches up any more of our men. The mission: take the machine gun position. This is definitely an order. Okay, so we have a lieutenant colonel who's acting as a captain, I believe. And we have our squad itself. Right now we're hidden, it looks like. The lieutenant colonel has a 30 cal. Evidently, he doesn't work like a captain. Why can't I use the 30 cal? Unavailable. Okay, well, so be it. Well, it seems like we don't have any other option but to get shot at.
Donnez-leur une pilule amère!
That was a pretty lackluster rally. Why is it unavailable?
Qu'est-ce qu'ils foutent là? Pourquoi on se bat contre eux? Keep firing! Keep moving! Stay down!
Hmm.
Stay down! Take cover!
Alright, well, we're done.
Watch your fire! Stay down! Go, go, go!
Ready?
On your right, on your right! Watch your flank!
What happened?
Keep moving! Take cover! Shift fire!
Come on!
Go, go, go!
No,
Shift fire!
I just don't understand that at all.
Keep your heads down! Don't give them an inch! Stay online! Dégage! On a déjà suffisamment d'emmerdes! Keep it up! Ne prendre pas la pipe!
You watch as Colonel Moore leads your men in the daring assault with only a pistol in hand. The French do not even have time to surrender before the gun pit is captured. The men, major victory. The mission, minor victory. Position captured. I hate games with the mechanics that have a timed mission mechanic in order to get rewards. Totally drives me nuts. I prefer tactical games where there's not some arbitrary clock that says you need to do X by turn X, Y, or Z, or else X, Y, or Z. Totally hate time missions. And it's sad that this game seems to totally revolve around it. Very sad. No one out of action, sir.
Off Casablanca stood the convoy from America. To the troops aboard spoke their commander, General Patton.
Soldiers and sailors, it is not known whether the French African army will contest our landing. But all resistance, by whomever offered, must be destroyed. However, when any of the French soldiers seek to surrender, you will accept it and treat them with the respect due a brave opponent and future ally. Remember, the French are not Nazis or Japs.
A flash of distant shells. Boat after boat crashes onto the shore. Mission, minor victory. Force the battalion commander to take the objective. Men, major victory. Casualty number. Wait, is it because I used the commander to take the objective that I got a minor victory instead of myself? Colonel Moore spares you a withering glance, then heads back out into the surf. His job is bigger than one gun pit. There's an entire battalion under his command. Naturally, you hurry over to your men. Where the hell is Roberts anyway? Private Patterson asks when you finally get there. You're about to enter a crucible mindset chart. Your development as a leader, you may add additional mindsets as your perspective on how to accomplish tasks increases. Mindsets also influence gameplay both on and off the battlefield. A crucible occurs whenever traumatic events unfold and represent the internal struggle soldiers undertake in order to come to grips with the impact of war. There is no single answer to this riddle. Choose thoughtfully. Smoke drifts past and brings the scent of burnt cordite. The enemy's rough gun pit is littered with the detritus of battle. Spent casing, discarded clips, and crumpled figure in olive drab at the edge. A low moan rises up as you and Sergeant Grant hurry over to the fallen soldier. A flash of distant artillery strips away the darkness to reveal an American private. Splinters of his shattered rifle beside him. From the look of it, he's been here longer than your platoon. He clutches at his chest, blood seeping beneath his fingers. Oh God, the wounded soldier wheezes out plaintively, gulping down a ragged breath. See what we can do. You kneel beside the wounded soldier, the sand shifting beneath your knees. Sergeant Grant does the same. The wounded man's eyes peer towards you. LT? His voice is wet and croaking, but it's one you've heard many times before. Hancock? Grant blurts out. You blink hard. Beneath the blood and sand, it is Hancock. Apply pressure to Hancock's wound. You place your hand atop the wound. The blood is warm and sticky as it covers your skin, slowly pumping out of Hancock's chest. The blood won't stop. Sergeant Grant shifts Hancock's bloody dog tags aside to give you a better angle. Private Hancock shudders. His clammy skin is deathly pale, so cold, he says in a whisper. He tugs out a slender book from a pocket and the pages damp with salt. How bad? Grant shakes his head. You need a chaplain. Oh, Hancock says ever so softly. His hand falters. The book falls onto the sand. Who do I write to? Hancock convulses beneath your hands. His breath rises in gasp and falls in weak, limp cough, then it stops. The men watch from cover as Sergeant Grant reaches out and lifts the thin paperback from where it fell atop the sand. The red badge of courage, Grant reads softly from the tattered cover as a star shell arcs overhead and casts a pale yellow glow above. He then tries to figure out how to tuck it back into the deceased pocket without forcing the issue. My father gave me a copy before I joined up. Guess I wasn't the only one. A bookmark falls from the pages. A black and white photograph of a high school football team with a dozen young men looking towards the camera with conviction. Hancock is one of them. You did everything you could, and he's still dead. The men are silent, reverent, as they look to the sky, down at the sand, or off into the distance. They too are trying to make sense of it all. Combat fatigue plus 20, realism plus 1, trust plus 15. Grant's hands shake as he pauses over one of the dog tags. The other he returns to the body. Your fingers brush aside sand and grit as you grasp the metal square, the edges sticky with blood. The Army summary of Hancock's life lies in your hand, along with the name of his next of kin, Helen Hancock, 107 North, 27th Street, Lincoln, Nebraska. Probably his wife. She'll be getting a terrible telegram. Your men glance uneasily at Hancock's corpse. Fear is a terrible and contagious thing, and it must be quarantined or preferably vaccinated against. Get used to this, Sergeant Grant says, with only a hint of a quaver in his tone. As he stands back up and looks to the men, you'll be seeing a lot more of it before the war is over. As you finish pocketing the dog tag, Sergeant Grant gathers a burial detail. When it's done, he drives a salt-stained, busted rifle into the soil. There's no way anyone will mistake that marker for anything other than a soldier's grave. These moments are not for any one man, but our unit. You take a moment to consider Hancock and all he could have been. Maybe your men will understand now why you always bust their balls. You are all in this, not as individuals, but as one unit. Together, you are far stronger than the sum of your parts. Nearby, the men of the first squad crouch in the dark as artillery thunders in the distance. They too are thinking about Hancock. They too are trying to figure it out. Hell of a thing, Sergeant Grant says softly. It hits hard, you know. and the younger guys will take it even harder. The question of Roberts. This war has been going on for years. The last one did too, and it ate away at soldiers every day. A deep voice abruptly bellows from the dark. Hold your fire. Officer coming through. You turn to see Captain Lamb striding toward you, silhouetted against the dark by flashes of artillery fire. Walking before him is a wet, sand-covered, and utterly weaponless Private Roberts. The enlisted man's eyes are wide and fearful as the captain prods him forward. I believe this is one of ours? Captain Lamb asks you pointedly. Yes, sir, he's Roberts. He's part of the platoon. I'm tempted to ask if you need him back, Captain Lamb says. All my runners went in the drink when we hit a reef, and I haven't seen a one of them yet. Of course I need him. A little mud never hurts a soldier. But he did lose his weapon. Are you sure you want to hand him another one? Lamb asks. Nearby, Roberts gives a little gulp. That isn't missed by Lamb. Roberts, I need you to be honest with me. Did you lose that weapon, or did you throw it away? Sergeant Grant cocks a skeptical glance at the bed-raggled private. Nearby, Morris and Patterson lean in to listen. On the beach, a new line of Higgins boats slowly gropes its way towards the shore. The place where Hancock's body lies, Robert's friend, is just a few steps away. Roberts, Hancock just died trying to take this position. Private Roberts stares at you, eyes blinking in the gray dawn light. No, he looks to Sergeant Grant. Grant tenders over a small shake of his hand. Roberts shoots a glance at Morris and Patterson, but there's nothing funny to be said. At last, Robert turns back to you. Something shifts behind his eyes as he steps down, a rising anger at the loss of his friend. I understand. Thanks for telling me. Grief does strange things to a man. Yeah, well, Grief and me are old friends, Lieutenant Roberts replies. Now, can I get a rifle? I've got a day's work. Return to the ranks, Private. Private Roberts gives a nod and rejoins his squad. Morris finds him a weapon, and Roberts inspects it with a steady eye. Prestige +1, loyalty +1. More plans. Lieutenant Colonel Moore approaches, kicking up sand as he goes. He heads right for Captain Lamb. Captain, I require this platoon. Cutting off Lamb's startled reply, he turns to you. Lieutenant, I know you'll be wanting to catch your breath, but I need you and your men back on your feet. You've got one of the few units in this beach that made it ashore intact. Your boat got wrecked, but you brought it in anyway, without a coxswain. Quite a feat for an army man. He glanced over his shoulder at the dark beach, where the next wave is navigating the approach. Roberts extracts his flashlight, no doubt to examine his new rifle, but Morris halts the man before the other private can flick it on. Now, when I gave you the order to fight, You did just that, the lieutenant colonel notes, having thankfully missed the little exchange between privates. And you got things done in a trice. I need that now. There's a group of German officers, old nags from the last war, that they've put back into harness on an armistice commission that bullies the French around. Secure them from the Hotel Miramar in Fidela before they can run off into the desert on us. You've got to move quick. Company A will be there to hold your hand when the French finally wake up. Understood? Yes, sir. Good. Get going, Lieutenant. Lieutenant Colonel Moore says. A crack of wood heralds yet another boat broaching upon a reef. Lieutenant Colonel Moore motions for Lamb to follow as he stalks away, yelling and cursing at the waterlogged rivals. Captain Lamb catches your eye. You know what to do. Captain Lamb calls over the din. The rest of Nickel Company will be along. Then he turns and follows the lieutenant colonel back towards the chaos along the shore. Red Beach. Stress. Stress typically results from combat. Think of it as a form of long-term suppression. Each point of stress reduces morale by 1. It occurs especially frequently for green units new to combat and for units that have acquired significant combat fatigue. See the attribute. An effective leader commiserates and counsels to help reduce. It can also occur from stresses like extended loss, as reflected at times by narrative-based events. So is there something I can do to Alright. Continue your journey. Hotel Miramar. 08 November 1942, Morocco.
It was nothing compared to once we got into combat.
Pre-dawn Morocco.
Now the plan was to improvise.
The shifting sand beneath your boots gives way to hard stone as you lead your men away from the beachhead. The town of Fidala is supposed to be close, but there is no sign of it. 100 yards down the beach, you spot a narrow road that slices straight through scraggles of trees and brush. A stiff breeze drives a chill through your still damp uniform, but that wind also sends the charnel stink of the beach, of blood and exhaust, your way. On the side of the road, the men eagerly take a short break. Several gather around a signpost as one of the bolder men poses beneath. You know, this is still better than being aboard the Bliss, Private Patterson mutters while pondering the sign. I was thinking that from the moment we hit the beach, Private Morris says. Remember back in North Carolina when we... Stuff that yapping, Sergeant Grant hisses at the two of them before things get any louder. We are headed into danger. The platoon hustles down the road towards your objective, the town of Fadala. The destination gives way to a sprinkling of dark buildings. As the gray sky brightens, the town resolves into a sharply delineated street cultivated from the surrounding deserts. There are over 2,000 Vichy soldiers in the garrison, but the men don't know that. I'll let them know what I know. You gather them up and lay it all out. Suspected numbers of the garrison, their equipment, everything that matters to a soldier. The stares you receive tell you that some would rather not have known this, but that all are glad you are with them. You give the order. First squad hustles past a squat little building. Harsh white light spills across them as the door opens. A burly figure is silhouetted. Something large is carried over one shoulder. Private Roberts turns towards the figure. His borrowed rifle rises in the glare. This is Robert's call. Robert takes a deep breath and lowers his weapon. Across the way, the lone figure gives a hesitant but friendly wave despite his burden. Bonjour, monsieur, a wary voice calls out in a thick accent. Is that French? Robert asks. No one in particular and everyone on principle? It sounds like French. Bad French is better than no French. Ah, hello, the French-speaking figure calls out, this time in a faintly British accent. The man sets down a meaty burden upon a narrow wooden table outside the building. The boy trots around the corner with a cleaver, but the older man shoos him out of sight and then turns back to you. Welcome to my shop, soldier. It would be very good to take your custom, if you like. Meat this morning, very fresh. That's quite an accent you have there. Accent, the man asks as he turns up a covered lamp to shine discreetly upon his own features. His smile is a buffed white that is all the brighter against his olive skin. But there is a tension in him as worry lines gather around his eyes. I had not noticed, but then it takes two hands to clap. I am Abdallah Daoud, your good neighbor. The breeze shifts, the smell of blood and foulness comes with it. Far worse than the beach. It is almost overwhelming. A soft buzz of flies surround the haunch of butchered meat. What can you tell me about the Vichy garrison in Fadala? Vichy? Abdallah says, and nearly scratches his head nervously before he remembers where his fingers have been. If you mean the French, then yes, I know. Gumirs, many, headed to beach, on camels. His hand idly pats the bloody meat, idly disturbing a cluster of flies. You can't help but note that he didn't answer the question. Do you know the Hotel Miramar? But of course, Abdallah exclaims. Everyone knows it. Lovely doors. Are the Germans still in the hotel? They were drinking outside last night, Abdallah relates, but French are near to hotel. 20 with rifles and long guns. I need to know how to get to Hotel Miramar. Of course, good neighbor. Abdallah says eagerly, take Boulevard des Fez until you are near the beach. From there, the hotel, it will be obvious. He offers you a respectful little bow and returns to his bloody work. You return to your men. On to Fadela. An urgent tramp of boots rises from behind you. The rattle of war gear is unmistakable. Men moving fast. Soldiers silhouetted against the lightening sky. The figure at the head of them gestures, and those to either side of him take cover in pairs. Closest to them, Roberts turns and stares. I'm an American. You fils de pute? The figure growls out, his carbine pointed squarely at the ground as he approaches Roberts. He smacks the private's unfired weapon aside as he stalks past. Aren't you supposed to challenge, Private? Roberts stammers out a lot of nothing. The men looks your way and wait for the words with rifles ready. Advance and be recognized. Well, that's English, and you got a good accent. The approaching figure calls back. Just don't plug me until we get this figured out. An American helmet is thrust up to catch the dawn light. Your men lower their weapon, and the other side does the same. A shock of familiarity hits you as their leader draws near. Oh, it's you, Lieutenant Wilson remarks. A patch of salt has dried in his graying hair, and his breath is a little short, and he doesn't seem the least bit surprised by any of this. He settles his helmet back atop his head as if he had always been there. Just nod to him. Colonel Moore sent me to help out. Lieutenant Wilson says to fill the silence. What's your plan? We're instructed to assault the Hotel Miramar. Right, and grab the Germans from some commission there. Officers and orderlies. Lieutenant Wilson remarks, let's take a look at the map. Wilson retrieves a striking aerial photograph from a pocket. This is better than any scribbling with a pen, and is usually part of a battalion briefing. One corner of the photo is torn, right where the word restricted might be stamped in red. Motion for him to set up. Here we go, Lieutenant Wilson says, and idly flicks away a bit of salt from the map as it unrolls in the dawnlight. When Sergeant Grant leans in to take a closer look, Wilson readily makes room. Ah, I see it. We should go beachside. I figure they'll figure that the invasion hour has passed and they'll lay up on the roads, Wilson explains. I'm not saying we'll get our choice of calico, but if we go all out through town and the Frenchies get wise, we could be in for it. And swinging south is a toss-up. Hmm. Is there any way to... Where's the hotel? And is it this way? Is this it? Hmm. How much would you trust a local source? That depends, Lieutenant Wilson considers. Around here, plenty of people don't like the French. Some of the locals might side with them, especially if they're getting rich or getting protection. But like all people, if you look to be winning, they'll cheer you on. We'd be talking about a local butcher. Lieutenant Wilson scratches his chin. Then it depend on what the butcher butchered. If he does pork, he'll go for the French. If he keeps clear of that, halal, I think they call it out here, then he'll be against. Before we got any further, I've seen Captain Lamb. Last I saw, he was getting half the company out of the drink himself, included. Wilson says Stern's boat got flipped, and they had to dive to get the big stuff out. Way I figure, everyone's down to a lot of salt. If that were otherwise, Lamb'd be out here himself. Trust in that. You know, my fellow officer recommends we take the beach. I'll go with it. The beach it is. Avoiding a fight we might not win, Wilson notes amiably, sounding for a moment like the sergeant he once was. I'd rather sweat than bleed, and the men will understand that. I'll get mine organized. He folds up the map and proceeds to do exactly that. In mere minutes, both platoons are formed up. You may occasionally gain morale and a little XP. Wilson may occasionally suffer a little suppression. You and Wilson may occasionally gain some XP. Wilson may suffer some little expression. You and Wilson may occasionally gain some XP and suppression. He'll look after his platoon, same as me. You give the order and the men head out.
Quiet and quick.
So what is our objective? Our objective is here. The beach, really? For some reason that seems like a bad idea now that I'm thinking about it. Important crossroad building. So whose 30 cal is this? And how do I command it? Morning bread. A worrisome silhouette resolves into that of a young woman. Her hair braided down the back of a voluminous robe. You watch briefly as she tends the embers beneath an oven. When she opens the little metal door, the scent of baking bread fills the air. Okay, what did that have to do with anything? Others answer.
Garde à vous!
Distant duel. Flashes of distant naval gunfire gives rise to false thunder beyond the beach. Why am I consulting my map? Keep moving. You signal your men and keep moving. Why do I have a spent order? Curious. Enemy machine gun nest. The French have prepared sandbags and rifle pits to cover both the road and the beach. But there are no soldiers here to man these works. Not yet. Enemy. Did they see me? That's the question. I keep running through. Hopefully they won't see me. Alright, so we've got an enemy there. The girl Fidala, a young girl not much taller than your knee, peers out a nearby window. She smiles at you. Then her big sister pulls her away. Just what was the point of that? Right, we seem to be running into a lot of crap. Beach seems like a terrible idea. What can our own gun see? Ongoing duel. The distant gunfire continues. Why does it keep wanting me to consult my map? You already memorized the map, and so you took away the case and signal your map. Why do I keep losing an order? Not sure what to do here. I kind of want to go here, but I have a feeling that that's also a terrible idea at the same time. So I don't want to... Evidently, you know, we have surprise on our... You know, we're still not visible, per se. This wasn't the plan. I have no idea how close we can get. Creep. How close can we get without being spotted? You've been spotted, haven't you? You have.
Hold up!
Hold up? What does that have to do with anything? The scent of fresh baked bread arises from somewhere close, just out of sight. What the hell? Why aren't you attacking? I'm confused. Are we not supposed to attack the enemy? Are they the French? Are they not gonna fight? Am I supposed to just walk up to him and say hi? Why isn't it letting me? I don't want to. Oh. Win initiative chance. Your attack. Expected versus you lacks effective. I don't understand. If I shoot, I'm going to give away my position. I want to charge. I want to charge these positions and catch them off guard. I don't want to lose the element of surprise. Alright, well this guy has already been spotted, so... He'll charge. Well, that's... Why will he charge, but the other guy won't? Wait. Where did all my moves go? What? Huh? I don't understand. Where did all my moves go? Oh, this game is frustrating. Why are all my moves gone? I don't understand. You only moved once. What? What the hell happened there? I don't understand what's going on in this game most of the time.
Let's get it done.
Too far? Well, let's go into that building.
Debout!
Your men stormed the enemy position. The French machine gunners had themselves a nice little place. They were expecting friends, judging from the spare gun and ammo boxes. Detail 2 men to use the spare machine gun. Who is this guy?
They're waiting!
Well, go. I gave you an order. Beachy garrison. Daylight creeps in. The city awakens. Shit.
Ne prendre pas la pipe! Come on!
Down there and can't rally him.
That's bully! Come on!
Okay, if they've been bolstered, can they all go up here?
Cotton balers, get the lead out. L'heure est grave!
Too far. The old man rocks absently in a chair. A lot of these random pop-ups just don't seem to make any sense. Okay, let's get this 30 cal in the trench. And boy suddenly darts across an open doorway. I can't move you? Yeah, I hate timed victories. Totally dislike that mechanic.
Pulley, give it to him! Let's go!
This squad still hasn't been seen. I don't necessarily want to reveal them. Wonder if we're going to need to start shooting.
L'honneur est exigeant!
A messenger arrives breathlessly. Lieutenant Wilson says the French are forming up to the south. Platoon, maybe more, the messenger says. Had to happen eventually, Sergeant Grant says. They can't sleep in forever. Not in any army. Should we send out scouts or keep moving before some Frenchy lieutenant tries to earn his spurs? Scouts out.
There's no stopping now.
Now, can we shoot from here?
Qu'est-ce qu'ils foutent là? Pourquoi on se bat contre eux? Bordel de merde!
Really? It's not my turn. The Hotel Miramar dazzles in the rising light.
Get the lid out!
Really? Well, that sucked.
Fire!
Well, crap. Really?
Shit! Hit the dirt. Ça chauffe!
I'm getting my butt kicked.
Keep firing. What the hell?
Yeah, what the hell? I would love to know what the hell. When you give an order and nothing fucking happens, what the hell?
Watch your flank! Hit him hard!
What does the flashing red mean? That I can't do it? Because the donuts down here say I can.
Shit!
You didn't move. No, it's not your turn.
Too much smoke! Tirez! La France est de notre côté! L'heure est grave! Resserrez vos bottes!
This game could really use with a restart the mission option, because a large percentage of the beginning of the mission started with me faffing about, not understanding that the troops were asleep, and I could literally walk right up to them. I assumed they weren't asleep. I assumed I had to stealth up to them.
Medic! Move up! Hit the dirt!
The hell? They shot me instead of me shooting them? Yeah, it certainly seems like it. Every other game has a restart frickin' mission thing. Yeah, I can't move.
Donnez-leur une pilule amère.
Let's get it done.
Let's get it done.
Avancez.
I don't know how to win this. I don't think it's really even possible anymore.
Planquez-vous. Mon Dieu.
You can't move into that house, huh? Why not?
Just like training.
Get those gams moving! Allez au diable!
Alright, well, we could capture the leader, I think. But that would put us out in the open.
Frag out! Keep moving!
$50-50, huh?
Donnez-leur une pilule amère! Ne prendre pas la pipe! Ça chauffe!
What is it, my turn? No. I don't know how I get this guy out of Dodge.
Stay online.
They haven't beaten us.
de merde! La France seule! Putain! Tirez!
Lieutenant Wilson out of action. Great! Can't go any worse than this.
Get the BAR up here.
Surely the thing will end.
Révolution nationale! Vite! Keep moving! Ça chauffe!
That's a victory? How the hell's that? Was MIA returning? That was a victory? How? This game just makes no sense. Nothing works. Nothing ever seems to make sense. I mean, there's just so much here that is so frustrating. Amid the prisoners and that rampant chaos, the scattered men of 1st Platoon assemble beyond the outskirts of town. Nearby, Private Morris absently runs a finger along a fresh seam of his helmet, where shrapnel creased the steel. After a moment, he let out a low whistle, and what might have been. Private Patterson crunches beside Morris and wipes at a cut on his friend's ear. He peers at the blood, as red as the rising sun. They damn near missed you, he says after a moment. I was lucky. We were all lucky, Private Morris replies with a chuckle that became a wince as another salvo of rounds pound the town. 2nd Platoon takes a dusty knee nearby when Wilson gives the order. More rounds slam into town. A fresh wave of dust rolls out. Your soldiers take cover on the other side of a low stone retaining wall. As they gulp down heated breaths, Private Adams tries to swig from a canteen but vomits it right back up. No one mocks him for it. False thunder crescendo as the U.S. Navy blasts its brass. A soft electric click tickles your ear as Harris, your radio man, fervently tries to contact anyone, to lift the bombardment. No one is listening, or else the radio gets busted up. Nearby, Sergeant Grant speaks quietly with Private Burnell, whose eyes are wide and hands are locked into fearful white knuckle fists. Talk to the men. The men have endured their first barrage. It is hard to speak with them about it with your ears still ringing. Second platoon takes a dusty knee nearby when Wilson gives the order. Easy now, son, Lieutenant Wilson says as he helps Crosley down behind cover. The lieutenant uncorks his canteen afterwards and methodically pours the contents over the corporal's eyes, slowly clearing them of grime until the big soldier can open them once more. Thanks, sir, Corporal Crossley says in evident relief. Thanks. Just keep at it, Lieutenant Wilson answers as he passes the canteen over to the corporal. He catches your eye and nods towards a stretch of wall well away from the others. Wilson offers over a jangle of bent dog tags. I've got at least 4 casualties and 1 dead. Carson, PFC Dwight. I shell hit him full on and there's nothing left. Wilson draws in a deep breath. You know, he's about to curse the Navy, and he does not disappoint. Starting small and building outwards, his English merges with sharp French and then gallops over to what sounds like German or very drunk Russian, before ending on sharp Chinese. Eventually, though, he runs out of both breath and invective. Discussed like an officer. Wilson was a sergeant once. He was close to the men who have just been shelled by their own Navy. His anger isn't misplaced, but it does need better direction. He has to think like an officer now. Across the way, Wilson draws in a fresh breath. Tell him what I think about that damn bombardment. It ain't supposed to be, but here we are, Wilson says. Maybe the Navy would listen if I sent a letter up the chain. Next time, we'll make sure the town doesn't get shelled. Wilson acquires compassion, his combat fatigue +10 and realism +10. The people there certainly didn't deserve it, and any more than our men did, Wilson considers, as your radio man continues trying to get through to the Navy. There isn't a need, then don't make them bleed. Naval guns continue to rumble. The tang of cordite rolls over the walls and lingers despite the salty sea air. The sand beneath your boots shifts as you consider the ready sunrise. We'd better get organized, Lieutenant Wilson suggests. The day has just begun. With that, he heads off to organize the platoon into something more than a mob of men who were just shelled by their own Navy. You are entering your own crucible. Coping with combat is a cumulative experience. Friendly fire, nothing friendly about that. It is one thing to be shot at by an enemy, it's another to suffer it from an ally or your own unit. It took a lot of things to go wrong for this to happen. You try to imagine all the things that had to misfire in order for that barrage to hit the wrong target. It could have started with a stack of unsorted messages, a single transposed number, or misheard command. It could be anything or nothing. Either way, the answers are beyond your reach. The hail of shells begins to lighten. Lieutenant Wilson fought in the Great War. when artillery barrages could go on for days, but in this new era, the battles move quickly and civilians may not have time to flee. You now know that all too well. We need tighter control on bombardments. The naval gunfire finally tapers off with a final crashing salvo. A distant crackle of flames arises from the direction of the town, and the scent of scorched sand spills over the wall. Those Navy boys must pay more attention. The Navy lives or dies by discipline. A small fire can wipe out an entire ship and kill hundreds. They should know better. You certainly do. In the light of the rising sun, you examine your maps once more. Alright, let's see what's going on with the men. Casualties. Reduce casualties by 1 at a cost of 3 prestige. Reduce casualties by 1 at a cost of 1 rebels? 25 XP? What the hell is this? Replacements. Even if you have the prestige to obtain replacements for casualties, it doesn't always mean they are available. Okay. So it's going to take a while to get these squads back up to full strength, evidently. Second platoon seems to be stressed. Is there something I can do about that? Evidently so. Alright, I think we're gonna save this up here. Interesting episode. We obviously got our ass kicked, and the game obviously decided that we won. I can't make hide nor hair or understanding of it. I'm also finding that this game is very much a you have to play it to learn it. And once you've learned it, it's too late. And since you can't restart the missions, which most games of this type will allow you to restart or replay the mission, you're just kind of SOL. So I could definitely see this game going differently once I'm experienced, once I've played through it once. If I play through it a second time, then obviously I'll have some clue about what I'm walking into or what I'm doing. But the first time through a lot of these missions, it's just kind of like I have no idea, because this game is very different from other games of its type, and so you have no idea that you can just, like in that last mission, that most of the troops were asleep and you could walk right up to them. Nowhere in any type of briefing did it tell you or explain to you that the enemy is asleep. You just figured that if you got too close that they would twig to your existence. But that wasn't the case. They were literally sleeping, but there was no way to know they were sleeping until after they said, oh, they're waking up. Oh, well, it would have been nice to know they were sleeping. You know, it's just bizarre things like that seems like it could have been presented better. There could have been a better briefing or some way of explaining the situation to you. But nothing. You're just kind of left confused most of the time. Yeah, this game is very confusing. And I don't think it should be. But it is. Anyway, I'm James Johnson, aka Software. Hopefully you're enjoying the content. If so, please smash that like button. Consider subscribing. And until the next time, all. Peace.